Hey, Chamber members, Alan Waters here, your marketing and communications coordinator for the Montgomery County Chamber of Commerce and your Words of Wisdom podcast. Really excited. This is our first ever episode with a guest, with a sponsor. So that's really nice that we're starting off the year. And let's go ahead and jump in and let the sponsor introduce themselves. So, Kristina, if you will.
Hello, everyone. I am Kristina Rose. My business name is Kristina Rose Photography, and I do business branding and headshots. So I work with people to get their vibe out there so that everybody knows who they are and what they do, and help them out on social media and marketing with websites.
So, Kristina, obviously, I know I'm leaving a lot of people really nervous getting into this because they have no idea what's going on.
He tells truths.
But the one question I'm asking everyone to kind of jumpstart things is, what do you consider success? What is, I know, and it's a very broad topic and can mean a lot of things, but to you, what is success? What does it mean to be successful?
So for me, I think that as long as I am continuing to learn and get better at what I do, I feel like I am being successful. I do not think that I will ever achieve success, if that makes any sense. Because I sort of thought about that. I don't even know what I would say, okay, that's it. Now I am officially successful. Now I can stop. Is that a thing? I don't think that that's going to be it.
Exactly. That's such a great thing. Because where that question came from is I had a friend that had a similar style podcast where he talked to theater professionals. And so many times, especially getting into theater, it's like, I want to go to Broadway. And his question was, but what then? If that's your goalpost, what happens when you reach that goal? So I think it's the same thing with success. I love that you have that approach of, I may meet things that feel successful, but if you hit the success, where do you go from there? And so in that part of success, what do you think are the steps that you can get to feeling successful versus, when do you feel like something's gone by the wayside? I don't want to say failure, but what's that differentiation?
Okay, well, I think also if I ever caught up with my to-do list, I feel like I would be successful. That would feel so awesome to me. I can remember being in school, grad school, and you maybe have a job that's 10 hours a week and you've got your classes. I remember that being the last time that I was ever I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do. This is so awesome. I finished all of my things. Yeah, I don't live that life anymore.
Right.
But I think for me, just continuing to, I don't even know that I would say that by doing this, I'm striving to be successful. I'm just striving. I think maybe success is just me being happy with who I am today. Maybe, I don't know. Because I don't feel like I'm striving for success, because I think when you say success, it is you do think of some big thing. Was I don't know, for me in my job, was I the photographer for some super duper famous person that would feel like I was successful? But no.
Yeah. Because I think, what do you do after?
Yeah.
So dividing success from goals, how do you keep that separate, and how do you set your goals? How do you go about that?
How do I set my goals?
Yeah.
Well, I think as an entrepreneur, I have to have somebody that holds me accountable. So I do sit down and I have a couple people that we work together. We have a little mastermind, and we hold each other accountable for different goals. But one thing that I find, my biggest thing that I tell my little mastermind group to help me out with, is that I can get excited about a lot of different things, and get off my goals, but I want you to keep reminding me, this is what I said I want to do. This is my goal. So for me, I think now that I've gotten more into my business and I know more of what I want, and I'm not a photographer of all the things, people are like, oh, do you shoot weddings? I'm like, ew, gross. No. But did I used to? Yeah, because I did everything, but I don't do that anymore.
Right.
So I guess my goal is to be, or what success for me is, I'm really niching down. So that's how, knowing exactly like what I want to do and what I want to focus on, and then kind of weaving in that changes. Like last year, I had a bunch of goals that I wanted to do, and then I landed the job of photographing at the Highlander, and man, that presented a whole nother goal to me that I didn't even know I liked doing.
Yeah.
And so that changed things up. So now my goals are totally different this year than they were last year.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a lot of, there are times for rigidity, there's times for flexibility when you go to goals. Because if you're doing the same thing now that you were 10 years ago, have you progressed or have you hit that plateau?
Yeah, no.
In looking at that and looking at how that changed, how do you manage the flexibility of those things while also being a business owner? And by that, I mean, how do you,
you tell me. I'm here to learn.
Well, I think that's something that so many small businesses have to deal with, is the fact that when you get into that sphere, you're no longer just you're not the doer. You're not just the photographer. You're also have a whole other job as being the business owner. If you have any pieces of that, like how do you manage that separation?
Well, one thing that you'll probably hear me, if you work with me, you might hear me say a lot. Let's say, for instance, I don't know, like something simple, like a makeup artist. People will be like asking me questions about makeup. I love putting on makeup and looking at it and like being like, oh, does this look good or not? But I am by far no expert, even though I probably sat and watched people have makeup put on more than the average person, right?
Right.
But I stay in my lane. Like I want to stay in my lane. I think realizing, I guess, that my head cannot handle any more of that particular knowledge. Like I just recently had a conversation about that with somebody with Facebook ads. It's like, I don't have room in my brain to be an expert for that.
Yeah.
And if I'm not an expert in that, then I'm wasting my time, which is number one, valuable, and number two, not limited.
Right.
And I mean, it is limited. My time is limited. Like the days go by so quickly. So that's my big thing. Like I want to stay in my lane. Like how can I stay in my lane of what I know well and what I do well?
Right. And then trusting others to do
others to do their part that can help me out with
that.
It is hard to pass off some of the stuff that I do feel like I do better, but I just did hire an assistant to help me get some of that off my plate and being okay with like letting it not be super duper perfect, but training her to be a little bit more like how I would like to do it, but it is a process and it's hard.
Yeah. And there's always going to be a part of that, especially if you like in photography where they can get up to a certain point, but they've got their own style too. So that's going to creep in and be a part of it. I feel like, at least for me, that's a hard part too, is just the delegating when I know I can do it. And I'm like, I think they can, but if they don't, and then is it going
to be okay?
Yeah. By the time I'm done, I'm like, I'm just going to do it. Yeah.
Done is better than perfect for a lot of times.
I agree. What would you be your advice for someone, like you said, that you found something new last year with a Highlander shoot that kind of pushed you in a different direction, but you don't do weddings anymore. You don't do those things. How do you, as a business owner, go from doing everything to finding your niche? What is your suggestions on your way?
As a photographer or somebody, just a general person?
I think as a photographer, but also like in general, because I think anything we talk about here, you can apply it to a lot of different industries. Yeah.
Well, I think for me as a photographer, it's just learning more and more, like as I'm on the way to do something. And I know not everybody, this is the beauty of being an entrepreneur, I guess. Not everybody wakes up and they're like, yes, I get to do X, Y, or Z. But there are definitely things that I do that I'm on the way to the session and I'm like, I don't really want to do this. I'm not super excited about that. Yeah. So my goal, but I don't do that when I'm doing, more of the headshots and branding. Like it excites me more than anything ever has. So I think that is the thing, like realizing within yourself what, excites you and gets you up in the morning, if you will, that you're okay with doing. But in terms of, let's see, I had something else. In terms of like everybody's business, I guess, is realizing that even though you are fill in the blank, I mean, an insurance agent, a photographer, doing all these different things, that is what you learn and you're the expert in, and people expect you to know that and be knowledgeable in it. But also you're like, you have to know the business side of what you're doing, not just the business of what you're doing. I know a lot about photography and lighting and, all this other stuff. I spend a lot of my time learning about how to market what I do better. And I think that could be true for everybody.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, putting it into that photography lens, because experience, you're right.
Yeah.
There is so much that is a technical thing that I know if I were to take that step back and look at it, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to notice this forever. No one else will. And if they do, it's like, okay, great. Now I want to have a bigger conversation.
Yeah.
But I think there is a balancing act of striving for that perfection in things and realizing when you can't achieve the perfection without either delegating something away or refocusing your attention to then push that. Because like with marketing with here at the Chamber, truthfully, I hate social media. Social media is like so difficult. And it's not that it's difficult to like do it. It's just, anything can go wrong in any number of directions because of social media. But if I don't sit there and do the time and I don't take the time to learn it and better myself, like I said, you're going to hit that plateau and you'll never change.
Yeah.
So this kind of goes back to that first part about success in life and on a more personal level, not necessarily business level. How do you think someone takes steps to make sure that they are at least working towards success on a daily basis and continuously chasing those goals in a healthy way? Because I'm not a big believer in I work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Me neither. And knowing my limits of what I can handle. I think if I had the answer to that, this podcast is about to break the internet because that's kind of what everybody wants.
Right.
But
everybody wants the one answer.
Yeah. But I also am like I don't know. I think that I realize personally what I need, and I am. And I guess being okay with that, because I am not one of those people either. I need downtime. And if downtime and like time to read things that I want to read on a personal level, things that kind of make me happy. I need time with my friends, time with my family. Now, if I get too busy and I start working, are the people that I do their photo session and like do all that stuff, are they going to see a bad side of me? Sometimes they do, because I get like behind on stuff just like everybody else does. But I realize when I start getting snippy with the people that I'm the most comfortable with, which is my family, my husband, my kids, then that's when it's like, okay, Kristina needs a nappy nap. She's tired.
I'd like a nap and an apple juice, please. Thank you.
Yes. So I do recognize that. And I also know like I need to exercise. I need to, I've got to introduce those things and keep those things in my life to like stay sane. And also, this is a season in life.
Right.
I have been doing this longer than I've ever been doing anything else. And so, because I'm kind of one of those people, like I feel like I have a master's degree in higher ed and student affairs. And I did counseling and stuff. And now I'm a photographer. But I think that I could slip into something else if I wanted to. This is a season in life, like in life. So I want to take care of myself and be able to like, maybe it's not going to be photography,
right.
Maybe it'll be something totally different. And just to be okay with that, I need my person underneath what is underneath this business or whatever to be healthy, happy, secure in order to be able to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
I mean, if you're not taking care of yourself, the business may be able to grow beyond what you imagine. But what happens when you hit that wall?
Yes. And just being okay with not being that person. Yeah. There are definitely some people that I'm like, they have more hours in their day than I do. What the heck? How is that possible? But being okay with like, okay, maybe they do, or they just function a little bit differently than I do. And that's okay. They're them and I'm me, and we're both great. Yeah.
I know myself as a person. I'm never going to be that guy that's up at 4 a.m. going to sleep at midnight. Like, I just can't.
Yeah, I can't be friends with those people either.
No. Like
I respect you, but
I've
jeez.
said this a couple times recently. Like if I could have Jeff Bezos money, I would. But if I had to do the things to get the Jeff Bezos money, I wouldn't. I'm fine. I'm okay.
I agree with that. So yeah, it's the hustle. Everybody's like the hustle, the hustle, the hustle. It's the healthy hustle.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to take a brief break to hear an ad from our sponsor. And then when we get back, we're going to break into a little bit more of your personal life, but also I want to hear more about some industry related things. Sometimes it's hard for you as a business owner who already wears so many hats to find the time to create the never-ending need of images to promote your business. There are so many avenues that need your attention, and you don't want to just be more noise in the wind. Even your marketing team struggles with the inconsistency. Beautiful photos on your website and social media attract attention. Your potential clients will start to notice. So what if you had a collection of professional images ready to go at a moment's notice? You'd feel less stress, more prepared, and most importantly, more professional. That's where Kristina Rose Photography comes in. Kristina Rose empowers small businesses, entrepreneurs, and professionals by creating images that help grow their brand and save them time. So join Kristina on a journey from stock images and cell phone photos that create a messy marketing message to stunning images that will stop the scroll. For more information, go to krosephoto.com. That's KROSE photo.com. If a picture says 1,000 words, what's yours saying? Kristina Rose Photography. Now let's get back to the episode. All right, we are back. And so I want to take one brief moment. You mentioned you were in higher ed. Right before we started recording the podcast, Kristina's learned some things about me too. And I find that really interesting to see people's journey and how they ended up where you are.
For sure.
So let's take it back to, for some people in the audience, I hope I don't alienate you. Let's take it back to high school, which I hope is not that long ago. You're like 24, right?
Exactly. How did you know, bro?
Exactly. So in high school, as you were trying to figure out who you were and who you were going to be, what was the journey kind of from there into where you are now?
Okay, well, I will see people that I went to high school with and like their parents and stuff like that. And they'll be like, Kristina, are you still singing? Are you still acting? And I'm like, no, but also yes, because I do feel like I kind of put on a show for people, in the photo session. I think that's kind of what makes it fun. And I always like allude to that. But if you would ask me back then, and I always share that in my little 10-minute thing in case group about myself, I show the pictures of me on stage. But I don't know, you live and you change and whatever. But I wanted to be on Broadway.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, I didn't make it.
It's hard. It's very difficult.
Spoiler alert, also I didn't try. But what happened was somebody asked me in college, they built a new residence hall that needed some extra RAs. And as a freshman, they were like, it'd be great, that Kristina Powers, that was my maiden name, Kristina Powers girl. And so they asked me, I don't think I would have ever applied, but I guess somebody saw it in me. And man, that changed my whole, everything. I went to, I loved it so much that I started looking for schools to expand on that. I even joked with my husband recently. And so in lower level student affairs, I wanted to have my kids very close together because I have 3 kids. And so they are all 2-ish years apart. And I wanted to have them close together. That is expensive. So in student affairs, it was okay, basically I'm working for these kids. And so I stopped, but I told my husband recently, I was like, that if I'd kept working in student affairs, I would be a VP of something by now. That would have probably been where I was.
Where your life went.
Maybe in my next life. Maybe in my next season. I don't know. It's not off the table that I wouldn't go back into student affairs.
Yeah, I had this conversation just the other day with Steve. We were talking about how here at the Chamber, we've got the Women's Leadership Conference coming up. And some of the awards traditionally have an age restriction or limit to it. So the Businesswoman of the Year in the past has been you have to be over the age of 40. And for emerging businesswomen, you have to be under the age of 40. because we do the emerging leaders 40 under 40. But he pointed out this year, he was like, someone can absolutely hit a different season of their life and become an emerging leader no matter their age. And someone can be 20 and be successful. And so we took away those age restrictions this year because we were like, that's true. Anyone can be an emerging leader. It doesn't matter age, anything like that.
I love that. I'm a little sad. It makes me a little sad when you start giving the 40, because I'm still in shock that I'm over 40, honestly. I'm like, is this real life? When did I age?
I never thought I'd
I know
reach
everybody's
30.
so shocked. They're all listening right now and they're like, what? Yes, it's true. 'Tis over 40.
I just turned 30 this weekend. And even then, like, it was funny. I've got really young parents. My parents had me when they were both 20. The first time I moved to New York, the first show I did, I worked with a stage manager who was the exact same age as them and didn't know it until we were in the middle of a show. And then I said something. I was like, oh, yeah, my parents are 42. And she was like, Alan, I'm going to need you to shut up the rest of the night. I was like, I get it.
It's really weird.
But
it's weird.
My parents are both 50. And the other day they asked me, they were like, how old are you turning? And I was like, 30. And everyone in the room, we were all like, oh, God. But I also remember, in a dumb way, I remember turning 21 and being like, I'm old. I feel like you're not old unless you stop going.
I'm still young.
Yeah. My grandma is 85 and I think could run laps around me.
Yeah.
So
I definitely say, and when you start getting to these certain ages, people start saying, as you age. And I'm like, stop that. That is my least favorite phrase in life right now. As you age. Because what sentence comes after that is never like, you just start loving life and feeling the best you've ever felt. It's always something negative. I'm like, I'm going to stop you right there. As you age, life gets better and gets more awesome.
I'd agree. If I saw myself as a kid, I was 100%, I was like, I'm never going to be on a board. I'm never going to serve on committees. And now I'm like, oh God, I'm on 3. Who am I? But I also think like I'm much happier now than I was then.
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned that it's not just kind of a random happenstance has changed your trajectory, because I think so much of being in business isn't just what you know, isn't just about how hard you work. It's luck. Do you think, especially in your industry, luck plays a larger part of the role in who's making the money, who's being the quote unquote success? Or is it a little bit more about what you know and who you know and how you do it?
I think that it is it luck? No. I mean, for some people, I think it's less likely to be luck and it's more likely to be who you know. And I think that is so obvious in like, even Hollywood. I know we've all seen movies and stuff where like, how did this person actually land this role? They are not even that good, or, whatever, we're being all judgy. And then you realize, oh, their dad is blah, blah, blah. They were raised in the industry and that's who they know. And I mean, back to the Highlander stuff, that all happened through the chamber. Like I can literally take you through all the little things that, like doing Jenna's headshot. And then somebody saw that on Facebook and they were like, oh, I love that. And then blah, blah, blah. It just led down to then me being like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I knew people took pictures of hotels, but I didn't think I was that person that did that. But I freaking loved it. I didn't even know it was something that was done, I guess. So I feel like it's who you know.
Yeah. I think.
But being set up to be ready to show that you are capable, even after you know that person. That's sort of my argument with like personal branding when I work with people, like, because people do hate social media. I'm one of those people too. And you could treat it as if like, that's not important. It's not really me. But if I meet you out in public and I'm like, oh, I do kind of like you, but I feel like I need to go stalk you a little bit online.
Right, yeah.
And if you're weird out there, then that could like hurt things. So, I had other things set up that, showed that I was capable of doing that, even though I'd never done it before.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. Like you got to set up your luck to when you finally meet the person.
Who might get you in the door, but you still have to stay there.
Yes. You have to be able to walk on through. listen to our, do these make sense? Let me just pull that from the sky.
The like sort of metaphor thing. Yeah.
I don't know if that's working, but I'm pretty sure everybody's like, yeah, we got you. We understand.
So social media, coming to that and coming to really marketing branding in general, with your industry, how do you, there's such a, I'm a big advocate of, like I said, I don't like social media, but it's not even it's a have to have. What do you think your industry plays into that? Like what are things that people are either not doing, people don't know, or things that people just need advice on how to make sure that they are in 2024 getting the most of their marketing and branding that they can?
Okay, well, I think kind of back to what I was talking about before, people will meet you in person. And I think that's been one thing that's been just tremendous about my experience with the chamber. And then they will go, like, even if they don't go seek you out, these little devices that we carry around are going to be like, hey, weren't you close to this person? Do you know them? You stood by them for like 5 minutes today. And now do you want to be friends? So then it's just in your face and you're like, well, I don't know. Let me see if I want to be friends. And kind of, so I think that having an image out there that's good, but I also think people, and again, this is coming from a photographer, so I am sort of people. I will be a little bit more judgy than the average person, but I think also people judge it and they don't even know that they're judging. Right. Like what you have out there on your website. Did you take this picture yourself? Is it a selfie and your nose looks really huge because you don't actually know that that's a wide angle lens? So, like little things like that. But I just think not only that, this is always my example with a massage therapist that I've worked with, and she does therapeutic massage. It is not like you're not going to a spa. Like she wants to help you heal your body, right? And I did her photos. Now, if I had done them one way, she would get a lot more of the certain kind of inquiries that she didn't want to get. Right, yeah. Or I could go the other way, like realizing that photos, how you look in them, whether you don't smile or not, like I'm very well known, like people be like, I don't really like to smile with my teeth. And I'm like, I will allow that, but you got to give it to me in the eyes. And they're like, I don't know what that means. And so I will kind of coach them through that. So that's my big thing. You don't have to show me your teeth, but you got to give it to me in the eyes. And like, what can that express? And there's a lot of people I sit down with you to go over your headshot, and I'm like, if you were putting this on a dating website, I would say this photo is for you. It is your headshot for your job, so we're not going to choose that one, right? Because it's telling me that maybe you're a little flirty and you're looking for something else, as opposed to I'm competent in my business and can help you, blah blah blah. So
I love that there is that approach, because I do think, especially in photography and video and things like that, you don't think about how much it reflects back on a subconscious sense. Yeah. If I'm going to go to a restaurant, more often than not, my first inclination is not going to be, oh, that place looks like a hole in a wall. It looks dirty. I'm going to go in there. Might have some of the best food in the world. Yes. But if the marketing isn't there, it's hard to take that. How do you think you can benefit anyone listening, on both with your business, but also on the personal level of just like connecting and making that connection? How do you think you can benefit on the marketing branding side?
Okay, well, like a simple thing, going back to what we were just talking about, like people will look at your photos or whatever on your website and make a snap judgment, but they may not really know why or what it is about it. They might be like, I have a feeling it's not great, but I can't really tell you why. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. I think I've looked at things so quickly that I can pretty much be like, oh, but look, you're squinting or your head's tilting. And sometimes when people tilt their heads, I am more quick to be able to see that, I think, than maybe the average person. So that is one thing that is a benefit from somebody. Like I always tell people, like can I meet you, very first time and deliver pictures that you'll love of yourself? Yeah, probably. Are those pictures going to help you market your business? I can't promise that if we don't talk about it and plan for it. And if I don't know what your marketing and, what your business is. So I always have those conversations, because if I don't understand it, I can't help you convey it through photos.
Yeah. You can show up and take a great picture.
Yes.
That doesn't mean it's going to do anything.
Yes, exactly. So now I've got a lot of pretty pictures of you just sitting or standing. And what does that say? What does that do?
It's fine if you don't. But in your industry, what is something that really frustrates you? And it might be something that people don't know that they're doing, because obviously none of us can know what every industry is like. But what is something that people do, whether consciously or subconsciously, that kind of gets under your skin that you wish people would take and learn from?
Yeah. Well, I have already accepted that the majority of people don't know, like the average person doesn't know what makes a good photo, I guess. And I'm okay with that. Like they may, and that's just their mindset. Like they could look at what I would be like, did that person, is that even actually in focus? I can't even see their eyes. And that may be the most favorite picture in the world to them. And that's okay. But I think that from a professional standpoint of me, one of my things that I hate in the industry right now is skin color, and it not being like from other photographers, and it just not being okay. I'm like, your skin is orange. You don't see that?
The color correction
You're okay
and the
with
things,
that?
yeah.
Like I hate that, and it's trendy. Like people call it dark and moody, and you can do dark and moody and still get skin color correct. Like that is a big pet peeve for me. And I think people of color are more offended by that. I wouldn't say offended. They notice it a little bit more than like people that are lighter skinned. Yeah. But it's the orange skin, or the people that then they've lost all their color. That is one thing I try to do really, really well, is to make people look like they actually look in person, and skin color is really important.
To me, that is one of the things. I definitely want to see your picture and it be who you are in real life. Because if I show up and I'm like, this was a real big makeup hair day. This doesn't look like you on any other day of the week. I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point? And on the flip side, if you don't keep those updated, and then people come in and they say, oh my gosh, I didn't actually recognize you. You look so different from your pictures. Was that a long time ago? And they think to themselves like, oh, ha, 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 and that's not a big deal. But how much better would it have been if you had been sitting in a crowded room and they would have said, that's how I'm meeting that person right there.
Yeah, there is something to being able to like have that immediate recognition. That is both good and bad.
Yeah.
Behave
yourself.
2 drink tickets at business after hours.
And don't be giving them away.
So, all right. Anyone coming into this, I'm a big believer in collaboration over competition.
Yes.
Anyone that wants to get into this industry, what are your suggestions for a beginning photographer that maybe not is doing this professionally yet, but is considering doing it professionally?
Keep learning. Practice, and be okay with charging your worth. I think in just creatives in general, I think that's a struggle, but because I'm not in this business to make minimum wage.
Yeah.
Or not minimum wage, whatever. Like charging your worth and realizing that you do need to get better at your craft, seeking out education, things like that. But also it's time to start learning the business of being in business.
Yeah.
And that's harder than probably getting better at what you do.
Yeah, it's hard. I've told quite a few people this, it is perfectly okay as you scale your business and as you grow your business. If you increase your prices and you lose clients.
Oh yeah.
If you double your prices and you go from 4 clients to 2 clients, you're making the same money and you have more time. Now, of course, I do think that there's something to keeping things obtainable and affordable.
Yes.
But also, if you hit that and you've got a different clientele, that's perfectly fine.
Yes.
Lean into your clientele, lean into your brand, lean into your marketing, because that's fine. You don't have to be for everybody. You certainly cannot do everything.
Yes, that is very true. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. Just keep getting better, learning more. I had a conversation with somebody recently because and as an entrepreneur, it's like, am I really about to invest this amount of money in fill in the blank? It's like so much, but that's, I think, the beauty of it is investing and learning more and more and getting better and better. Like I still I just booked it this week. I will be heading to Texas later on in the year, and I have a week-long intensive, like hands-on class for photography. I feel good about where I am. Like I think that people, but I just want to know more and get better.
Oh my God, things are changing all the time. I mean, in the world of cameras, I only shoot on mirrorless, and that's because to me it's easier. You shoot on DSLR, correct? For the most part?
No, mirrorless now.
Oh, you're mirrorless now?
Yeah.
Cool. But like that's changed very drastically. I mean, I still have the camera I had in high school, and I'm like, I can't believe I thought this was good quality, but at the time it was.
It changes, yeah.
Yeah. I could shoot something in 8K footage today, and if you watch it in 20 years, you're going to be like, wow, this is terrible quality. Just a part of it.
I know, it's so true. Yeah, things change. So, and I think that for our industry, for my industry in photography, a big, huge conversation at our professional photographers conference that's in a couple weeks for me will definitely be AI. And how that's impacting the industry. That's huge. And I know that, a lot of people are probably wanting to do, I think that there are goods and bads, and I am here for like embracing it because let's just be honest, ChatGPT, we're buddies. And so I think that is like something that I definitely want to embrace, and like, how can I introduce it into my business? I'm not 100% sure how it's not ready to do it. I mean, yeah, you can get your headshot or do whatever, but people are honestly looking at those like, do you look too good? Or,
yeah, I agree.
Is that a sixth finger? What's going on there?
And I want to break into that AI conversation more. And here's one of the best things. Kristina has multiple episodes this year, so we know for a fact that we're going to talk again. So if anyone has any questions, please make sure you comment them. You send them over to me. We can talk about it next time. But I've said this on social media recently. With AI, it's not in the place yet that it is going to replace anything. And in fact, I think more often than not, it's not going to replace, but it can absolutely be a tool if you use it the correct way to speed up your day-to-day process, regardless of industry. So before we leave, do you have anything you'd like to shout out? Anything you'd like to plug?
Yes. So one thing that I'm working on and would really like to do, I'm working on a signature talk to come share with other business professionals about personal branding, really about our conversation that we had earlier on in this podcast about how, everybody thinks that they don't, if I said, who has a personal brand? People would be like, I mean, no, I'm not an influencer. But we all actually do.
Right.
So what can we do to like cultivate that and make it better so that when we do meet the right person and they go online and they look at our stuff, they can see, I mean, if you went and looked on my social media right now, you certainly wouldn't be like, this gal's an influencer, but I do have some stuff out there,
right?
And I think that is probably the most important thing. So how my talk is like about how not to let your personal brand or your online presence go stale. And included in that will be some photography tips so that, I don't have to come do it for you, but let me show you a little bit about how our cell phones work and what takes good photos. So I would love some audiences to get in front of to chat with people. So if someone is looking to have like a little bit of training for their employees, and you think I would be a good option for that, I would love to chat with you and hopefully make it happen.
Yeah. And where can people find you to reach out for that?
My website. It's www. krosephoto.com.
All right. Last question before we wrap up, I guess. And this is something that I'm asking you because I want to see before next time and before we talk again. Right now, where would you like to see yourself in terms of that success growth journey for the year before we talk again? Before we talk, how long do I have? Let's be realistic tomorrow.
Here.
So I think with what you've got, we've got one episode per quarter. So let's say in this first quarter of the year. Yeah.
By next quarter, one of the things that I really do want to do, because because I am becoming, I'm pretty confident in my skills. Now I am pretty confident and in my skills. So I do look at other things that people have out there and I'm like, I can do that. Mm-hmm. I am there. I can do that for, fill in the blank. Like my best friend from high school is actually an influencer on social media. She fully funds her entire family living in Los Angeles on her platform. And I do her pictures and she is in the fitness industry. And Adidas had this big contract with her, right?
Oh, cool.
And I was like, she got her pictures done and I was like, I don't even love those. I mean, they're okay. I mean, it's photography is an art. And I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. So one of my goals this year is to start branching out into bigger brands. So I at least want to figure out by next quarter how to do that and already have a little toe in the door. Mm-hmm. So that's hold me accountable to that world.
All right. I will.
That's what I want.
That'll be our first question. Did you do it?
Okay, there it is. I've said it out loud. So now I have to, how embarrassing if I don't. No, it's happening.
And truthfully, I don't think it's embarrassing if you're still working towards that in a way. My approach with failure is always, it's not failure unless you stop trying.
Okay.
So
as long as I'm still trying and I can give you an update on how hard I've tried.
Yeah. And what you've done and all those things.
So since it is who you know, if anybody out there knows and has connections, let's have lunch.
If you're the CEO of Adidas, let's talk. Oh, gosh. Well, thank you, listeners, for checking in. Please make sure, if you're not already, like, follow, subscribe, do all the things, not just for the podcast, but also the Monday morning message, the newsletter, if you're not receiving those things. We want to make sure that you're getting as much from the chamber as you possibly can. And a lot of these things are free to access, so please do so. In the meantime, we will talk to you next time after you go out, connect, engage, and prosper.